Hey, welcome to Live with Lynn. So if you're here, say hi. If you're watching the replay, be sure to type replay so I know you were here. I'm Lynn Huber, and I appreciate you being here today. So today I'm going to talk about how to deal with life unfairness. You know, from the time we're children, we're taught to play fair. We're taught to divide things fairly and treat other people with fairness, right? But life isn't always fair. There's times when all of us feel like we didn't get what we got, what we deserved, or we didn't deserve what we got, or that everything's going wrong for us. And so how does someone best deal with situations when life seems unfair? Well, I have a couple ideas to help you. Sorry, you got itch. You have a couple of ideas to help you deal with life's unfairness. So, the first thing is you can't make everything fair. I mean, it's just life's not fair, right? Do you ever feel like it's not fair? It's not fair. Yeah. Well, it's not. Sometimes it's not. Unfortunately, despite what we were taught as children, not everything happens fairly. Someone else is going to get a promotion or win the lottery or receive praise for their accomplishments instead of you. I mean, you could work so hard for something and you could be in the running for it, and then all of a sudden somebody comes out of nowhere and they didn't do anything to deserve it and they take the award away from you or whatever it is. I mean, it happens. It happens, right? Natural disasters happen anywhere. Anyone can be a victim of a crime, and loved ones leave or die. And so much of life's unfairness is beyond our control, and accepting it is the start of dealing with unfairness. There's a lot of unfairness out there. There's a lot that I get really angry about. Growing up as a woman, there's unfairness related to being women. And you know what? If you're a person of color, that's even worse. I know that. And if you're a woman of color, oh my gosh, yeah, I know that. If you're gay, I mean, if you're anything, I grew up not being the right religion. And so all these things can cause life to be unfair. And there's a lot of unfairness out there. But you know what? It is what it is. There's not much we can do about it. It's beyond our control. And sometimes we have to just accept that sometimes things aren't fair. So when you do see something that's unfair, obviously you can fix it. And if you can, or if you can fix it, get busy and do so. Do your best to fix it. People donate their time, their skills, their money to help others whose lives are unfair. But understand you can't make life fair for everyone either, including yourself. Sometimes bad things just happen that are beyond anyone's control. So the probably most important thing is don't stay a victim. Forbes magazine, it describes people who feel like life is continuously unfair to them. They describe them as members of the My Life is a Mess Club. Yeah, my life is a mess club. Well, that could be true for a lot of us, right? So no matter what happens, these people never move past the unfairness. That's when it becomes a problem. That's when it's hurting you. So the world is full of people who experience unfairness, and many of them overcome it. Most of us, I think, overcome it, but there are others that don't. And so the dictionary defines a victim mentality as feeling like bad things always happen to you and that you're always at the mercy of forces you can't control. That's part of what's so great about personal development. That's part of what I study all the time, is how to not be at the mercy of the things that I can't control. Because there's a lot of things I can't control, but I can control how I react to it. Right? And people who have overcome significant unfairness, like a bad childhood or poor health or natural disasters, oh my gosh, you guys, there's millions of people out there like that, and they've overcome them. And they did it because they accept that they didn't cause the unfairness, but they also work to move beyond it. Sometimes when you look at people and you think, look at you, you have a disability, or you grew up with this, or you grew up with that. And how can you be so happy? Well, it's because they knew that they didn't cause the unfairness and they worked to get beyond it, right? Those who have not only overcome the fairness, but that was dealt to them, but also overcame it, not only overcame it, but became successful in spite of it. They didn't use life's unfairness as an excuse for poor behavior or lack of motivation. Instead, they got to work hard at creating better circumstances for themselves. And that's what we all need to do. Get out of the victimhood and work to find better circumstances. So yeah, easier said than done, right? I know. So how do you do that? Well, one way is to turn your anger and grief into action. Most people who experience unfairness, they get angry and often they grieve the loss that they feel, and that's totally normal. Of course you're going to grieve it. You have a loss. You suffered a loss, right? On whatever level it is, you suffered a loss. So to deal with life unfairness, you need to move past that anger and that grief and take action. Anger and sadness are normal emotions after a loss, but a person who continuously stays angry or upset is going to find themselves feeling like they can't control anything in life. And channeling anger and grief into constructive action helps you deal with life's unfairness. So here's a perfect example. Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Are you familiar with them? I was reading about them this morning. You know, it was started by a mother who lost her child to a drunk driver. Can you imagine anything worse? Well, I mean, I'm sure there's worse, but I mean, can you imagine losing your child to someone who was drunk, who was driving drunk? I don't even know how you get over that. I'm sorry, I just don't even know how you get out of that. But she turned her anger and grief, and I'm sure she felt horrible anger and grief, but she turned it into a national movement that has saved millions and millions of lives. This Mothers Against Drunk Driving, this is a huge movement. So people who use their anger and their grief to help others and correct the wrongs, they accept their emotions, but they do what they can to fix the unfairness. So look for the good. So yeah, the internet and news media gives us a steady stream of stories about life unfairness all over the world, right? There are reports of wars and famines and deaths. And oh my gosh, today, I mean, right now it's fires in Australia. It's horrible. It's just horrible seeing all that. And our minds need to counteract these unfair situations with the good in life, because there is still good in life. And so some media outlets specialize in telling uplifting stories that highlight people and situations that show the brighter side of things. So while I do think you need to know what's going on in the world, and I do think you need to watch the news from time to time, I also love watching Oprah. You know, the Oprah Winfrey Network, right? OWN. It's really good for that. I mean, I love a lot of her programming because she helps you get out of whatever mindset you're in. She helps you see that there's ways out, that there's ways around it, and that not everybody gets a fair life. She's really big on that. And she's one that came from not a fair life. She was dirt poor as a child, raised with nothing, was molested I don't know how many times by how many uncles. She came out of, her life wasn't fair at all. Her life wasn't fair, but look at where she's at now. And so she's created good with her network. And I love that. See? So now you can use her network if that's something that will help you, or find something on the internet, or even on YouTube. Find stories about good people. So while you shouldn't deny real problems, obviously a problem needs to be dealt with, but you can deal better with life unfairness when you remember that just not everything is fair. Right? People do catch a break. They do help each other, and they work together for the good. And it happens to people every day. It really does. It's you have to get out of yourself to see that. So when people help each other, sometimes what seems unfair turns around and has a better outcome. So look for the good in life and don't focus only on the unfairness, right? Your mind needs to see a balance. You need to see, okay, you're dealing with unfairness, but there's a lot that is fair too. So I'm sorry. So you need to see that balance. Otherwise, everything's going to look unfair to you. You need to see both sides. So I suggest that you monitor yourself. The World Health Organization, I saw something on the internet this morning that they said over 300 million people in the world have depression. God, that number's huge. And it's scary when you look at it. And while depression has many causes, and there is help for those who suffer from this disease, there is help. I am not a psychologist. I can't help you with this. But when you're dealing with unfairness, especially if there's a lot of it, it's real easy to feel depressed. And this is where you need to watch yourself. I had a lot of this when I was in my younger days, my teenage days. But this is where you need to watch yourself, because if your feeling of unfairness is staying around too long, or it's becoming more of an issue, you might be dealing with more of a problem. You might need to, depression can become a cycle, right? Making it harder and harder to deal with anything. And so feeling sad about life unfairness is common. It's normal, and we grow out of it. But if your emotions are causing you to suffer unnecessarily, you might need to get help. Right? Talk to your doctor if you're feeling depressed. There's therapy, there's medication that may be able to help you next time you feel that life is unfair. Now, I'm not saying that I'm not a strong advocate of being medicated. I do believe that people need it, but sometimes I think therapy or having someone to talk to maybe might be better. But you know what? Your doctor can help you determine what's best for you, right? So, hey, that's what I have. Now I'd love to hear from you. How I know that you felt your life wasn't fair. I know you've had unfairness in your life. And so how have you handled it? What kinds of things help you when you're feeling like life isn't fair? I'd love to hear from you. So please get below, share in the comments. I'd love to hear your stories or whatever tips you have. Anyway, that's what I have. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.